This right here is what exhaustion looks like. Fortunately, I've got some horror movies with which to relax. Alright, let's see how fast I can get through this spiel this month. This is June of 2023, of course, and so I have just received the June 2023 Horror Packs. For those of you who don't know, HorrorPack is the monthly horror movie subscription service. They have a DVD pack and a Blu-ray pack. In each pack, they send you 4 horror movies. It's a monthly subscription. They're mystery packs. You never quite know what you're going to get. So what I like to do here on this channel is open them up here on camera and discuss as I show y'all what I received in the pack. If you get the Blu-ray pack, there's also a HorrorPack exclusive Blu-ray in each month's package. Either way, you get the DVDs or the Blu-rays, you're getting 4 movies in each, so I get both of them. I get a total of 8 movies. Sometimes something extra if there's a double feature or triple feature or something like that. I always do put purchase links down in the What's It, so if you're not a HorrorPack subscriber, which frankly you ought to be, and I've got a link to that down in the What's It as well, but if you're not a subscriber and you think some of these movies look interesting, you can find links down in the What's It, where you will also find links to all of my various other projects and the numerous reasons why I am in fact exhausted this month. But having gotten through that spiel, and without further ado, let's go ahead and open up these packages, and we will see what I've got in the June 2023 Horror Packs. Exciting times. Here's pack number 1, bringing us, of course, to pack number 2 in this little box. Yes, indeed, here's pack number 2. Alright, let's dive right into the DVD pack. That's this one here. And the first one to come out of that is a film called Chicken's Blood. It's one I'm unfamiliar with. The tagline on the front says, "No more clowning around," and we do see a evil-looking clown character on the front, so I'm not sure what it has to do with chickens, but we seem to have an evil clown movie of some sort. I wonder if he's got rubber chickens. Clowns ought to have rubber chickens. As a matter of fact, I have a rubber chicken collection in my study upstairs, but that's neither here nor there. Since this is a film I'm unfamiliar with, let's read the description and see what we're actually in for with Chicken's Blood. It says, a struggling wrestler and his friends take a shortcut to the event through a corrupt town run by drugs. They quickly find themselves in the middle of a blood feud between the gang and a psychotic clown on meth. I'm not even sure who to root for in that situation. The gang or the psychotic clown. They seem like maybe they deserve one another. Anyway, it sounds like an intriguing film. I don't know much about it, but I do tend to like an evil clown movie. So Chicken's Blood sounds intriguing, and I'm looking forward to trying it. Next, we come to H.P. Lovecraft's The Deep Ones. I'm not familiar with this particular film, but of course I know Lovecraft's work very well. As a matter of fact, earlier in a previous video on this channel, I actually did a reasonably deep dive into H.P. Lovecraft's use of mathematics in some of his stories, so you should check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. But since this is one I'm unfamiliar with, there's not much of a description here on the back. Let's see if there's one inside the sleeve. There's not. It looks the same. It does say, to breed a monster, you must become one. And we see some cultists on the back and some tentacles on the front. So we know kind of what we're in for with a Lovecraft story. I would say that Lovecraft is difficult to adapt to the screen. There have been a couple of Lovecraft adaptations, film adaptations, that I've liked. I think one of the more successful ones was the black and white silent film version of The Call of Cthulhu that was put out by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, of which I am, of course, a member, a lifetime member. That was a really good one. But in general, a lot of people have tried, but Lovecraft is so intellectual in a way, and I guess abstract might be the right word. We're dealing with these cosmic horrors that defy description. And if they defy description, even on the page, they certainly defy depiction on the screen, so it's very difficult to take the kinds of things that Lovecraft wrote about and turn it into a coherent film. But, as I said, there have been a couple of successes along those lines. Let's hope that this is one of them, because it's one that I haven't seen yet, and I'm always looking for a good Lovecraft adaptation, so very much looking forward to trying this one as well. Trekking right along, third from the DVD pack, we have a film called School of the Damned. Must be a public school. My apologies, I will try to avoid standing on a soapbox. But the tagline here says they have everything under control. This is another one with which I'm unfamiliar, although we do have some creepy children and a wonderful moth depicted in the artwork. Let's go ahead and read the description and see what we're in for with School of the Damned. The back of the DVD says, when a new teacher, Mr. Middleton, arrives at a local village school, he is uncomfortable to find students that are extremely and unanimously well behaved, eerily unlike usual children. So I wonder if this is sort of a Stepford Wives or Stepford Children sort of a story. Let's carry on. It says, the single difficult student, Georgie, is violently injured in a fight, uncovering a special class of very young children forming a hive mind, keeping the students and teachers in the school calm and focused. The result is that these socially underdeveloped children force any wrongdoers to pay for their actions with murderous results, and Mr. Middleton unravels a dark conspiracy deeper than even he could have imagined. So, well, we have a hive mind, which is always an intriguing premise for a horror story, and it does sound Stepford Wives-ish in that we have these ostensibly perfect but no longer human characters, in this case in the form of children. So it sounds pretty interesting, and perhaps it offers some social commentary on what schools are versus what they ought to be. And as I said, I'm trying not to get into politics, I'm trying not to stand on a soapbox here, but suffice it to say, I think we all have some thoughts about what does, what should, what shouldn't happen in the schools. It's an interesting topic, I think, to all of us, especially those who have children or who work in education, but because we live in a society, I think it's of interest to everybody, and if this film manages to offer some commentary on that, while also presenting us with a good, creepy sort of horror story, which it certainly looks like based on the artwork, I think we're in for a good time. So, School of the Damned also sounds like a winner. Let's hope my initial thoughts are correct and that it is a winner. We'll find out soon enough, but certainly looking forward to this one as well. And that brings us to the final film for the DVD pack, which is a film called Abominable. The tagline says it wasn't supposed to exist. Presumably we are talking about the Abominable Snowman, or the Yeti, which of course is a cryptid creature generally thought to be a sort of ape man, I think usually associated with the Himalayas, sort of a Himalayan counterpart to the Bigfoot or Sasquatch that we hear about in the United States, particularly up in the Pacific Northwest. In any case, this is, of course, not a film I'm familiar with, but I will go ahead and read the description and see what it says. It says, the legends are true. A research team embarks on a journey to obtain a plant that can advance medical research by centuries. While stumbling upon clues of the previous expedition, they discover that a Yeti creature lurks within the Himalayan mountains, and it will do anything to protect its terrain. So, maybe sort of hints of John Carpenter's The Thing, in the sense that we're on a research expedition, but instead of encountering the thing from outer space, we get the Yeti instead. You know, it's been a while since I've seen a good Abominable Snowman story. I've seen a few Bigfoot movies lately of varying success, but I don't see many about the Yeti, and I think that's unfortunate. I think we need more Yeti stories or more Abominable Snowman stories. Hopefully this will be a good one. It certainly sounds intriguing. So, as with all of the others, looking forward to this one. So the DVD pack is looking pretty good this month. Well, the DVD pack was quite promising, with 4 movies I hadn't seen, but all of which sound at least intriguing. They sound pretty good. But of course, we're not finished. We still have the Blu-ray pack to get to, so let's get right to that. The first one to come out of that is The First Purge. This is, of course, part of the Purge franchise. And I've shared some thoughts about the Purge franchise on this channel before. In a previous package, I got the Forever Purge, which was the one that came just after this one. This is, I think, the fourth? Don't quote me on that, but I think it's the fourth in the franchise. And the first one in particular was a great movie. I really liked The Purge. After that, I thought the second one was okay. The third, kind of okay. This was where I think the franchise really started to sort of lose its footing, was with the third or fourth one. This one is a prequel to the rest of the franchise. It's meant to be, as the title suggests, the first purge. It's sort of the rebuilding of the country and the institution of the purge as a social practice within the world of the films. This one I felt, it's hard to know what to say about it. I think I'll give a fuller review after I've rewatched it and sort of refocused my thoughts, but my initial thinking on this one, having watched it a couple years back, is not terrible, kind of mediocre, certainly better than the Forever Purge, which I thought was god-awful, but nowhere near as good as the first one or two films in the franchise. But nevertheless, it's a worthy thing to have in one's collection, particularly if you're a completist and you want to have all the films in any horror franchise, which I think y'all kind of know. I am such a completist and I always want to have all the horror movies. So I did not have a Blu-ray copy of this. I think I have a DVD in my library. So a nice upgrade. A fair movie. Not great, not horrible. But that brings us to number 2, which is a film called Spree. That sounds very familiar, but I don't know why. I know I've not seen it. This is one of those that I feel like I must have seen something about it, either on social media or a review site or somewhere else on YouTube or something. But I've not seen the film, so I don't really know much about it. On the front, it says Collider calls it American Psycho for the digital age. Thrillist calls it a bloody funny ride through online hell. Hollywood Reporter called it a serial killer flick that couldn't possibly be more of its moment. I also see the year 2020 in the corner. This looks like it may be a sort of found footage. Maybe, I'll read the description in a second, but just looking at the cover and sort of the stuff on it and the quotes on it, I'm guessing maybe something like a found footage of a serial killer or a spree killer who takes a camera with him and live streams. Let's see if I am correct. Let's see how good I am at reading the clues on the cover. The description says, meet Kurt, a 23-year-old rideshare driver for Spree, who is so desperate for social media attention that he'll stop at nothing to go viral. He comes up with a plan to live stream a rampage as a shortcut to infamy. Coining his evil scheme, The Lesson, he installs a set of cameras in his car and begins streaming his rides. I was indeed correct, but let's carry on. It says, wildly miscalculating the popularity that would come from his lethal scheme, Kurt's desperation grows as he tries to find a way to overcome the plan's flaws. In the middle of all this madness, a stand-up comedian with her own viral agenda crosses Kurt's path and becomes the only hope to put a stop to his misguided carnage. So it sounds like perhaps something of a horror comedy. It is indeed about live streaming a bunch of murders, which is unfortunately a topical sort of thing to think about, because we've all seen those news articles go by about people who, for whatever reason, have actually live streamed their crimes. That just sort of seems like the crazy sort of Black Mirror-esque world that we live in. But it's a film I've not seen. It sounds intriguing. Looking forward to trying Spree. Next, third from the Blu-ray pack, we have The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. This is, of course, the third in the Conjuring franchise. Another one that I have seen. I've seen the entire Conjuring franchise at this point. And, y'all know, if you've been watching these videos, I've shared my thoughts before, that in general, I pretty much like the movies, even though I am not too fond of the Warrens, the people on whom the films were meant to be based. Let's say they're loosely based on the Warrens, because the Warrens in the film don't have much to do with the real Warrens. In this one, the Warrens tackle a case in which the devil made me do it is used as a criminal defense in a court of law. The idea is this character was demonically possessed, and that is why he committed a murder. And this film traces mostly the demonic possession itself, not so much the courtroom. I actually think it would have been maybe better as a courtroom drama, but that's because I'm a nerd for courtroom drama. But it follows that case and sort of supports that devil made me do it sort of argument. It's a decent horror movie, far from the best in the franchise, but not terrible. If you haven't seen it, I think you'll like it. This is another one, of course, I've already seen. The downside of these mystery packs is occasionally you get one you already had, which is the case here, but hey, I'm still getting a bunch of great movies, and for those of you who did not already have a copy of this, it would be a worthy entry into your collection. But that brings us to perhaps the moment you've all been waiting for, which is the HorrorPack exclusive. That is a film called Fangs Out. I can see from the spine this is exclusive number 84. HorrorPack's been at this for quite a while, it would seem. And as is usually the case, I am unfamiliar with the film. I tend not to be familiar with the HorrorPack exclusives. A lot of time they're low-budget films, lesser-known movies. But they do tend, most of the time, to be pretty good. So let's hope this is another one on that side of things. Let's hope that this is a good one. Let's go ahead and read the description so we can see what we're in for. It says, the undead have a new plan. A group of college students head to Mexico for some cheap plastic surgery. There they meet Dr. Pavor, a creepy surgeon who is actually a vampire, harvesting victims for his blood cartel. Aided by his bloodthirsty nurses, he systematically carries out his evil plan. When a detective looking for his missing daughter arrives, all hell breaks loose in a bloody, combustible conclusion. So, sounds pretty good. Sounds intriguing. I have seen in literature and on screen stories that deal with the idea of doctors as vampires harvesting blood from their patients. That's not entirely new, but it's not been done often enough that I feel like it's really been worn out as an idea for a horror story, so it's a reasonably good premise. The idea in this case that they're going to Mexico and that this vampire has a blood cartel seems like maybe we're dealing with some political commentary as well, which, as long as it's done sort of with a delicate touch, I think horror can be the perfect vehicle for political commentary or for social commentary. If it's ham-fisted, it ends up ruining the whole thing. But if they're careful, and if it's always done sort of as subtext rather than beating you over the head with it, horror could be a great vehicle for those sorts of ideas. It sounds like an intriguing film. I always look forward to the HorrorPack exclusives. I am certainly looking forward to Fangs Out as well. Thus concludes another month of HorrorPack offerings. A couple of films I've already seen, but most of which I haven't. All of which, at least all of the ones I haven't seen, sound pretty good. And let's say I have high hopes that they'll be really good and really entertaining horror movies. Looking forward to watching all of these. As I said at the beginning, I am in fact rather exhausted. There's a lot going on in my life these days. So I'm going to sign off and go watch some movies. You're going to do all those YouTube things like liking this video, sharing, subscribing, leaving a comment, all that sort of stuff that helps me grow this channel and reach an even wider audience. So while you head off to do all of those things, let me charge you, as always, to take care and stay scared.